people were sort of like, you know, stepping around the word depression and, you know, how likely that is to happen. What are your thoughts on that? Or what is a depression? What actually signifies, you know, a depression? And is that something that you still see as a possibility?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a possibility. And I hate to say that because people think, oh, well, if you say depression, you're one of those loonies that should be walking around the street with the sandwich boards, you know, saying the world's coming to an end, hide your children and bury your gold. But a depression is just a natural cycle. We have to get rid of the excess debt that's been built up in the system. And we either pay back, and those that can pay back debt, pay it back. Those that can't, don't.
Yeah.
Then what happens to that? I mean, I saw an interesting article yesterday, I think it was on Bloomberg, where they're talking about modifying mortgages in the US, where people owe more than the mortgage is worth, and modifying it back to the principal, basically modifying it back to the value now, and either deferring the difference or forgetting it.
Who takes that hit?
Isn't it great we've got taxpayers?
Yeah, so it just gets passed on down the line.
Of course it does.
Yeah. So your thoughts are then?
Basically, I see that this year's going to be an interesting one. I look at demographics, I look at cycles, and I look at a lot of other things as well. From a cyclical perspective, 2010 has the decennial cycle, which is a really reliable 10-year cycle pointing down. The 4-year cycle points down. The 29 to 30-year commodity cycle starts to peak and then starts to point down. I think the real estate cycle still starts to point down, and I think two other cycles. Oh, the 80-year generational cycle, and I think the 8.6-year Princeton economic cycle as well. All of these things point down in 2010.
Yeah.
So you've got to expect in an economy as weak as this one, despite what the markets may portray, that things are going to get a bit messy.
Yeah.
No, I don't expect the US to be able to start making more jobs, and if you can't create more jobs, what do? I think the unemployment rate in the US is 10%, revised down from 10.2. I still expect it could get as high as 15 to 17%.
Yeah.
And then if you look at discouraged workers, those people that are no longer looking for a job, they're not classed as unemployed. So if you're not looking for a job, you're not unemployed. If you've got a part-time job, even though you were earning 100,000 before and you're getting 10,000 now, you're not unemployed, so we can't count you. I mean, there's a guy called John Williams of Shadow Stats, and he shows that what the unemployment rate should actually be if you backed all that stuff out, and he's showing 22-23%.
Wow. Yeah, that's significant.
And that's a huge difference from the 10 that the US government's showing. And I'm not saying either one are right or wrong.
Yeah.
It's just saying those people that haven't got jobs can't pay their bills.
Yeah. The flow-on effect, like obviously this is all very much talking about the US, and I know they're
the world's largest consumer.
Yeah.
What do? If you lose your best customer, it takes a while to basically get a transition across to compensate for them.
Yeah.
And then we go, okay, but China's the economic saviour. It's not.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think the US, I think it's about 40,000 is the per capita GDP or per capita income. In the US is about 46,000, whereas in China it's about 6,000. And then you drill that down even further, and you end up with something like, out of 1.3 billion people in China, I think 600 million of them earn less than 1,000 US a year. And then I think it goes up from there. I think it's about 400 million that earn between 1 and 2,000 US a year. There's only something, I think it's something like 60 million that earn around 20,000 US or better a year, which is the middle class. So for a population of 1.3 billion being China, you've only got something like 3 times the population of Australia as a middle class.
Yeah. As far as them shifting, like, are they still very much export driven? But
yeah,
surely they can see the writing on the wall as well. Is that something that they're changing, as far as you know, with your research?
Well, last year, 33% of GDP was based on exports for China. They still exported a fair bit to the US and other places like that. It is changing, but it changes very slowly, because when all your factories are geared up to make stuff for Americans and other people who no longer have the money to buy that stuff. Yeah. And look, I'm being kind of extreme here. It's not that bad, but people are watching what they spend.
Yeah. I think it'd be interesting to see once I haven't had a little bit of a look at all the figures come out for Christmas spending.
Yeah, I think come out later this week or early next week.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that pans out.